whatever you believe to be true is being reflected back to you. And based on what we believe about ourselves, that is what is allowing in certain things into our life, and that was what also is blocking out things from coming into our life. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 beliefs that I had to change in order for me to be living my dream life that I am now. So when I was not living my dream life, I had 5 false beliefs, or beliefs that were keeping me safe in that mode, and letting them go changed everything. Now the first one, and the first thing that I had to believe in order to make the shift, is I had to believe that it was first off possible. That it was possible for me, and not only possible, but probable. Okay, so there's things like possible realities and probable realities. And if we believe that it is probable for us, if we take action or if we move ahead, we're more likely to actually follow through. For a long time, I was feeling like, not only because I was in that 9-to-5 job, but I knew I wanted to be making videos on YouTube. I knew I wanted to be sharing my ideas on spirituality and law of attraction and metaphysics. But I didn't really know if I could actually do it, or I felt like there was maybe I wasn't credible, and because of that, it caused me to not necessarily take action. I didn't believe that it was probable for a while until I became aware and I started to see other people that were also doing this. So back in 2012, I saw people like Ralph Smart. I saw people like other YouTubers that had audiences that were making their content and people were listening to it, and they did that full time. Once I started to see other people do it, and I started to question myself, like, why not me? So I want you listening to this right now, whatever your dream life is, what is your dream life? And if you don't know what that is, you can set that intention, but start to realize that whatever that is, there are other people that are already doing that. So by seeing them do it, you're then beginning to increase your own belief that it can happen for you. And not only can it happen for you, but if you model what that person has done, you'll most likely get a similar result. You can reverse engineer what other people did to get there. I noticed that other YouTubers, they made YouTube videos. They studied different content. They were naturally reading those books and listening to those seminars. So I started to do the same things because it was something also I was passionate about. But as I did that, my reality began to change. So beliefs are these structures of thought that keep us into a certain reality, into a certain way of thinking. And we see reality based as a reflection of what we believe to be true. But the first step is always to become aware of your beliefs, to then let them go, the old beliefs go, so that you can then allow in a new reality. So the first belief that I had to let go of, though, is the belief that it is impossible or improbable. And once you start realizing that it's just a belief that's keeping you safe, your beliefs just keep you safe to where you are, that's when I then started to become much more free. So that was the first belief that I had to become aware of, the first belief that I also had to let go of. Now the second belief has to do with the comfort zone you have being safe. And I remember even as I started on YouTube and I started making videos and I was working at Barney's, New York, selling women's shoes, working 40 hours a week, I remember that there was this unknown factor to making videos. And it took me 6 months to go full time, but I could have done it in like a month or two, but I was afraid. Because I was afraid that if I really let go of this reality that's brought me safety for so long, then what if I fall flat on my face? What if what if I fail? And what if I don't succeed? And how embarrassing will that be? Back in 2012 when I quit my job at Nordstrom's, I quit on a whim because I went through a spiritual awakening and I was like, money and all this stuff, I don't want to deal with that anymore. So I quit. I lived at my mom's for like 6 months. And it was embarrassing in a way because I lost everything. A lot of weird things happened. And then after that, I had to go and swallow my pride and go back. And that's when I went and applied at Barney's, New York and got the job the same day. But it was very embarrassing, so I didn't want that to happen again. So what held me back from actually going full-time, like I could have done it much faster, is letting go of the fear that came with letting go of the known. Of letting go of like the safety mechanism. Here's the thing I realized too. I did not like selling women's shoes at Barney's New York. What was I really letting go of? It was my belief of security, but that was keeping me locked in it, believing that, you know, caring what other people thought also stopped me from really going after what I'm passionate about. But staying in your comfort zone will keep you from living your dream life. So what you want to do is become aware of what your comfort zone is and start to challenge it. The degree to which you can get into the unknown is the degree to which magic will happen in your life. Because in the known, you only get more of what you've got. Because it's thinking, feeling, and doing the same things over and over again. But when you step into the unknown, you allow something more magical to come in. Now, the third belief that you have to let go of to live your dream life has to do around time. Now, when I was working my 9-to-5 job, I would exchange time for money. That was the only way that I thought about it. I was like, I'll go in, I'll work a certain number of hours, even though I worked a sales commission job too. But I have to be there from 9 to 5 or whatever the timing is, and that's what I get paid for. When you start living your dream life, whatever that is, for some of you it might not be working for yourself, but for many of you I think it will be. But I had to start thinking about my time differently. How do I optimize my own energy? What am I passionate about what I'm doing? And as I started to gear it more at that, my energy began to change, because I wasn't just looking at exchanging time for money. I was looking at, like, how can I add value and put value out into the world, because what I put out is what I get back. And I had to rewire myself in that way. And that's one of them. The other one I would say as well is being told what to do. The only way I was going to go full-time doing what I love is I had to take initiative. Believing that someone has to tell you what to do in order for you to do it will keep you having a boss. Will keep somebody telling you what to do. I had to change my belief on time, just exchanging my time for money, like with an hourly job, which was also commission, but you got to get the idea. And then secondly, being told what to do. And I was told what to do, when to come in. I was told, you know, how often I had to greet customers. I was told, and if I didn't get held to a certain standard, then I could get fired. I was told my sales numbers had to be a certain amount. So what I had to eventually do is I had to take my own initiative, and I started making the videos on YouTube, working 30, 40 hours a week making YouTube videos. And nobody, you know, I didn't have to do that. I was holding myself to that standard, but as I held myself to that standard, my old 9-to-5 job began to phase out. So in order for you to not have a boss, you must become your own boss. You must take your own initiative. And as I started to take my initiative, that's when everything in life really began to change. And that's one thing you can begin to do, is to take your own initiative and to realize, unless you make the choice, the radical ownership of your own life, and you make that your focus, unless you do that, you will be the cameo in other, you will be in a way like maintaining someone else's vision. Until you grow your own vision, you will maintain and you will service other people's vision. And that includes whoever owns the company, that includes the managers of that company that are also upholding the company for the people at the higher ups. So it's something to become aware of. And there's something that I'll be doing with my buddy Victor Odo. My buddy Victor Odo and I both have successful YouTube channels. We both have our own businesses that have done very well. And we love helping other people learn how to go full-time doing what they love. So if you are a coach, a healer, a psychic, an astrologer, tarot reading, any of those, and you want to learn how to go full-time doing what you love, there is a 3-day challenge that we're going to be doing starting August 27th, 28th, 29th. If you want to join for free, click the link below and join. We're going to be doing a 3-day challenge, and there'll be things you do to wire in this new version of you, but also we're going to show you step-by-step how to go full-time doing what you love. So the initiative is an extremely important part of it. The last thing I want to talk about is deserving it. Do you feel like you deserve your full-time job, your dream life? I had to change and let go of my belief that I didn't deserve it, or that I had to either work really, really hard for it, or that I had to be more than I was in order to have it. What really held me back was believing I had to have some coaching degree, some bachelor's degree, some, like, all these things. And I've been on YouTube doing what I'm doing, have created an extraordinary amount of abundance, more than I thought I would have created it by this point in my life. And I don't have a coaching degree. I don't have any formal education degree. I went to college for a little bit, but I realized I wasn't passionate about it. I was passionate about learning about metaphysics and stuff that I didn't learn in college. So I studied that. And the thing I want to share with you is you give yourself permission to go full time. You give yourself permission to be that most ideal version of you. And other people, you don't need a degree to tell you. And once you get the degree, you're gonna feel like it's like just a piece of paper. That's normally what happens. Your degree is not what is impressive. It's your energy. It's realizing that whatever you've accomplished in your life, there are other people that would want to accomplish that. And if you don't think you have any accomplishments, then maybe you've been ignoring that about yourself. There are things I know people that have accomplished and quit doing drugs. That is an accomplishment. That's something that you've done, and there are other people that are doing drugs that want to know how not to do drugs. So we set the bar so high for ourselves sometimes. But when you realize that you've already accomplished things and that there are other people that would want to accomplish those too, you lower the bar and you realize, wait, people want to be led by somebody that has accomplished something but aren't too unrelatable in a way. So if you're just a couple steps ahead of them, that's even better because it's more relatable. And that's what you can remember this. And that's why Gary Vee says all the time, document, don't create. You're just sharing your journey. When I was creating videos on law of attraction, I was just sharing what I was learning by having a 9-to-5 sales job. And by sharing that, then other people would, I didn't have it all figured out when I started making YouTube videos. I was living at my dad's house. I was making videos in front of his pool. Remember those videos? That's what I was doing. And what you can realize is that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have the perfect camera equipment. Most people, they use their freaking phone. Just use your phone. Your phone does everything. I sometimes have these fancy camera equipment and I just use my freaking phone. You don't need fancy camera equipment. You don't need fancy editing. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need to start. And my biggest thing to you is that if you believe, it's like number 6, if you believe that it's going to happen in the future and you got to wait for it, then it will never happen. You have to make the choice right meow. Make the choice right meow. Make the choice right meow. Right? Make the choice right meow. Just make the choice. Okay? Make the choice right meow to go full time doing what you love and to take action and knowing that you're worth it. That you're worth it and that all you have to do is make the choice. Doesn't have to be perfect, you just have to start. And when you start getting feedback. You start seeing what resonates with people, what doesn't. You start learning more about yourself. You get better at making videos or whatever it is, whatever your dream life is. And the better you get, the more that you then expand your zone of comfort, the more you will then experience more inside of your life. So let's go over them real quick. What are the 5 beliefs you must let go of? You must change, that must die for you to create your dream life. We got the first one, that it is actually possible. It is not impossible, it is not improbable, it is possible and probable for you. Find other people that do it. It'll increase the belief that can also happen for you. Secondly, get out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is that it's keeping you in your current reality. It's keeping you safe from your dream reality. But when you start to branch out of it, you start to become a new version of you. And you always get in life a reflection of who you are. So you must become a new version of you. You must then give up time for money. Start viewing it more in terms of energy, of value that you're putting out. Creating systems for that. And then also, not just that, but being told what to do by other people. Become your own boss. Take your own initiative. You must let go of waiting. You must do it yourself in order for you to then create your own dream life. Energetic boundaries. Imagine there's these boundaries where if people cross them, if they come over to your side of the boundary and they're trying to take your energy, you then say, hey, nope, I don't allow that. But imagine you don't set those boundaries. Imagine what happens is then people assume that your energy is meant to help them. Your energy is meant to feed their reality. Your frame is meant to feed their frame. Now, the unfortunate thing is that unless we set energetic boundaries, people will continue because we've primed them, we've allowed them to take our energy, to overstep what we allow and what we don't allow. And until we set boundaries, this will continue to happen and we'll continue to get that reflection in our life. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 reasons why you must set energetic boundaries and how to do that. It's actually very simple, but once you start doing this, it will change your entire life. And in this video, I believe that you'll finally make that choice once and for all. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5, not 10, but 5 reasons you must set energetic boundaries. Now, first off, let me explain to you a little bit of where I was not that long ago and what it's like now that I have set energetic boundaries. Let me first off preface this. There is a difference between energetic boundaries and outer boundaries. Now, energetic, think of inner, I-N-N-E-R, energetic instead of energetic. But the difference is when we, let me just give this a little bit more preface. When we feel like people are overstepping our boundaries and we don't have those inner boundaries, we then have to set outer boundaries. Outer boundaries is when we tell somebody, hey, this isn't okay. I don't allow this. That's where a lot of people are afraid of setting boundaries. They're afraid of telling other people what's okay or not okay. They don't want to necessarily go into that tension. But here's the thing. If you become very centered inside of yourself with your inner boundaries, you won't have to set outer boundaries. You see the difference there? So the key is that if you start to really get inside your own body, you start to really kind of have this natural respect for your own energy, you'll find that energetically, people feel that off of you. You don't really have to have that conversation, at least as much. The problem is that many people have been primed into taking your energy or into you allowing them to do certain things, so therefore they on a way have a pattern of it and they kind of expect it, or they think that if you start to establish boundaries, it's just an act or something like that, and they don't buy it. But here is the main part of how to go about this. So before, this is where I was. I found myself, if friends wanted to hang out, or if friends wanted me to come to their party, their birthday party, or if people were having a bad day and they wanted me or wanted my help, I'd feel obligated. I'd feel like, in a way, it was almost like their happiness was my happiness. And I found that there was this pleasing mentality that I had that felt like I was losing myself. And really, I didn't know who the self was. I would associate my level of feeling good with how other people felt. So I would then I thought it was my responsibility to then make other people happy. And in this process, I'd feel very inauthentic. There were times that I'd want to say what I really felt, but I'd hold myself back because I didn't want to go into that tension. Or there'd be times that people would want things from me and I would feel this obligation and inner pressure that I had to do it, or I would lose their love or validation or support. And it felt very conflicting. It didn't even seem like an option to me if people wanted me to come do something. For example, I've had times before where I was very busy, but I had a friend's birthday party that was 5 states away. And instead of seeing it as an option for me to say, you know what, I'm very busy with stuff that I'm doing, I ended up driving 3 or 4 days. It was a long process. It was a whole day drive, and then it was this big travel thing. I was putting my own business to the side, my own needs to the side, so that I could go because I felt obligated. And it was this inner pressure I felt, and I just automatically went. I didn't even know there was an option for me not to go. Now, what's happened is I've gone through a transformation over the last couple months, and now what happens is I go inside of my body and I'm able to decide, do I want to do this? And if the answer is no, there's no problem with saying, you know what, I love you, but this is what I have to focus on right now. It's almost like a whole new world, like in the movie Aladdin. It's like a whole new, you know what I mean? But the reason it's like that is because I didn't see it as an option before. Before it was, I have to. There's this inner pressure I need. If I let you down, then I let myself down because I don't know the difference between myself and you. I identify and take responsibility for everyone else's emotions. But now there's more authenticity there. There's more of a filling up my own cup before I can fill up other people's cup. And the interesting thing is that since doing this, I have more respect from other people. It's almost like people respect me more because I have my own boundaries. People recognize that I don't feed into guilt if it's oh, you didn't come do this or something. It's very easy for me to see, well, I need to fill up my own cup before I can add to other people. So now there's almost like an unapologetic level of me just being myself, but now people respect that more and it just feels more authentic.
Honestly, it feels more authentic. I'm more polarized now within myself and more unapologetically me. So that's the difference. Now, what is it that makes the change? Well, basically what it is you have to make the choice to set boundaries. That's it. You have to make the choice. Now, the 5 things I want to share with you are reasons to help you make that choice. Now, when we say that letting go is hard, if you're letting go of like caring what other people think, letting go of a people pleaser, the only reason it appears to be hard is because part of you hasn't made the choice. Part of you wants to make the choice, but the other part of you is afraid that if you do that, people aren't going to love you. People aren't going to accept you. People are going to then resist you. And then there's an association with identity with that to where then you feel bad because other people may feel tension and you feel what other people feel because you're so empathic and stuff. So really, what this is all about is this is about making the choice. You know, think about it even. If you are letting go of an old relationship, now it's so hard to let it go. Well, really what's hard to let go is your reasons. It's hard for you to make the choice to let go because part of you is afraid that if you do let go, you're never going to find love again, or then, there's bad stuff that's going to happen, or is your one shot at love. I mean, that's literally the way the mind thinks. So the key to this is making the choice. Now, here's 5 reasons you must make that choice. Now, first off, you've thought it is your responsibility to make other people happy. And because of that mentality, you've then lost and you've abandoned yourself. This is a lot of times the childhood trauma that has people abandon themselves so that then they can make other people happy. That's what happens. People pleasing. It says, if I can make you happy and you feel good, then I feel good. We've then tuned ourselves to other people rather than tuning ourselves to ourselves. So when we're growing up, many times people pleasing comes from parent pleasing. So at the parent pleasing saying, okay, you want me to do this? I will do this because I feel like I have to. It's my responsibility. Parent guilts you into doing it, or you don't get love unless you do it. And you then abandon yourself. So a lot of people are afraid of being abandoned too. Maybe a parent abandoned you growing up emotionally or physically. And then you try to change yourself so that you can receive that same love. So one of the reasons you must set boundaries and make the choice to set inner boundaries or outer boundaries if you need to, is that if you don't, you will continue to live for other people. If you don't, you will continue to spread out your energy. It will continue to drain your energy, and you won't know why you feel so drained. You won't know why you feel so depleted, and it will just keep that pattern going. So imagine yourself. Sometimes pain and pleasure is a way of us making a choice. Imagine yourself in 5 years from now. And imagine you just keep giving yourself. You just keep giving to other people, even when it's not authentic. You keep just giving. Imagine how depleted you feel. It's life energy, life force energy that's being depleted. The more you imagine that, the more you see in 5 years from now that you'd be even more depleted, even more the energy to be sucked out, you can then see, well, okay, this actually isn't serving me. But you can make that choice now. Unless you make the choice now, that's your future. When I was working a 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes, I remember I thought to myself, I work with all these people that are older than me that are selling shoes that are not passionate about it. That's my future if I stay here. I don't want to be that. So then I started making daily videos on YouTube. So pain is a very powerful way of motivating you to set inner boundaries. I'm going to tell you how to set those as well. It's very powerful and it's very simple. The second thing is people will not respect you unless you have your own inner boundaries. If somebody is able to come up to you and kind of like take things from you or demand from you and you keep saying yes, you have trained them into that behavior. You've allowed it. Sometimes people have this kind of mentality. It's like, well, this person did this to me. You let them. You let them do it to you. And then because you let them do it to you once, you then justified it and let them do it to you over and over and over and over again. So the key to this is eventually realizing that people won't respect you because you're not respecting yourself. So respect, it's funny, as I've become more authentic and as I've said things I want to do and I go in my body and I feel, do I want to go to this thing? Do I want to do this? And people maybe want me to do what they want because it benefits them. I say no, they then almost respect it even though it's more polarizing. It's a funny thing. tension's a good thing sometimes. A lot of people pleasers, people that don't set boundaries, they got shitty tension. They don't like feeling tension. And that's why they have crappy boundaries. So that's another part of this process that's very important to understand, is that respect literally is gone unless we respect ourselves. So that's the second reason that you want to set energetic and outergetic boundaries. The third reason you want to set energetic boundaries is that if you don't, you will constantly be feeding into other people's frame. So imagine like I couldn't say no to going, taking a day and a half trip to someone's birthday party, even though I had a lot of busy business stuff going on. Then I'm feeding someone else's frame, and what happens is I'm not feeding my own frame. So you might find yourself constantly giving and constantly doing things at the expense of yourself, but think about this as frame. In order to be successful, I've found you've got to be in your own frame. Which means being in your own almost vision for what you want to experience in your life, building that vision. And the more you deplete your energy, the more that you are siphoning that energy out for other people because you haven't set boundaries, the more that energy then can't go towards what you want. I know even for myself, think about it like becoming successful for me was a balance of also having boundaries with what kind of things I was doing. I used to smoke a lot of cannabis. It's not inherently bad, but for me, it would deplete my energy. I would do it and I'd feel very kind of just lethargic and I just want to sit around. I was cool with not taking action. But what happened is when I quit, I then had all this energy, this life force energy that came back to me that then allowed me to create something magical and to have more energy going into that. I found that success takes quite a bit of energy being streamlined towards a vision. Now, if I didn't have boundaries and said, you know what, it's okay that I do this. It's okay that I'm around people that are draining my energy. It's okay that I have bad influences in my life. Then guess what? It's constantly depleting my energy and it's like I can't actually build that momentum. So you might have to say no to substances. You might have to say no to different foods that weigh down your energy. Energy, the food you eat does affect your energy as well. So it's something to definitely think about. Now, the fourth reason you must set energetic boundaries is that you become the 5 people you're around the most. Now, when I was first getting on YouTube and I started making daily videos on YouTube back in 2017, I'd have friends that say, hey, come hang out. Come do this, come do that. And I would say yes. If I did, then I would be then saying no to my vision of going full-time on YouTube, and I would have never actually got momentum. I realized that the 5 people I was around the most, if they're smoking cannabis, if they're drinking, if they're partying, if they're not doing much of life, if they work 9-to-5 jobs they hate, then that's not actually fueling my life or my energy. So if you don't have those energetic boundaries, then you're not going to be able to then create your own frame to then attract people that do resonate with your new vibration, your new way of being. Now that I am in this high vibrational state and I do what I love, I have a lot of high vibe friends, people that are also successful, that love what they do, and it fuels me to be around them. So realize that the 5 people you're around the most are affecting your energy, whether you are aware of it or not, and be aware of what that is and to set those boundaries. Yes, it kind of sucks at first, but if they are mad at you, then that's conditional love. They're saying, I only love you or I only accept you when you're around me. Instead of realizing that you must love yourself first. And that then I have friends that even to this day, they still just respect and they love me and they know that I had to take a step back so that I could then go towards that vision. And the ones that don't, well, they don't. I was feeding their frame, and if I wasn't feeding their frame, then that love's not there. That's conditional love. So this is a part of that as well. Now, the 5th reason you must set boundaries is, and this is going to be also the cure, okay, is that if you don't, nobody will. Nobody will. You might have that one friend that steps in every now and then and says, hey, that's not cool, but they're not going to be around all the time. So the key to setting inner boundaries as well is this. I have found that being in your own frame and being in your own body is the same exact thing. The body is the subconscious mind. When I started doing a simple meditation practice, and if you want me to make this meditation on the simple meditation practice, like this video and comment below and ask me to, and tell me, that you'll want it. This meditation is so simple. Staring at a candle flame, breathing in and out. On the in-breath, you feel the separation between you and the candle flame inside of your own body. And on the out-breath, you feel yourself connect to everything around. That's just a shadow integration exercise. But what this does is this helps you to feel inside of your own body, inside your own self, inside your own frame. And as you feel the separation between you and the candle flame, you and the walls, you and outside, you then feel in your own frame, it feels powerful. You can then feel that this frame, this body, is the boundary between you and the outer world. Now what happens is it's almost like the reality itself is zeros and ones. It's like the Matrix. Zeros and ones. There's zero. Let's say that zero represents oneness and one represents self. Okay? We're both, the duality of this planet is that we both have an individual experience, but we're also all connected. Now, I know that I've done a lot of meditations before, like, let's connect our heart fields together and feel the oneness. That's great and everything. But actually, what's also very powerful is feeling the separation between you and other people. Because as you feel the separation, you feel the boundary. Then you start to ask yourself, oh, this is what I feel. Oh, that's your stuff, not mine, if somebody's trying to project onto you. If you're a coach or you're trying to be a coach or something, and every time you talk to someone, you absorb their energy, it's because you've literally identified with their energy and not been able to feel the separation. So it's good to feel the connection, but it's also good to acknowledge the separation. So this has been one of the biggest things, is feeling that. And there's some magnetic quality about it. The more I go into my body when I'm walking around, not needing other people to validate my reality, say hi to me and stuff, and I'm just in my own frame, it's a different level of magnetism that is like magic. It's very hard to describe.
Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 main things you can do that I've been studying, that I've been doing in my own life that allowed me to find my purpose. And right now, in life, I do what I love. I get up every day, I make videos, I get to travel the world. I just got into this new house. It's my first night here, actually. Maybe one day, let me know if you want me to do maybe like a house tour of this new house or something like that. I don't know if I've ever done that on YouTube, but let me know. Maybe I'll do one. But in general, I live a very abundant life, and it's come from me acting on my purpose and doing that consistently. And a lot of people reach out to me and say, how do I find my purpose? What do? I feel like I'm working a 9-to-5 job I'm not passionate about. I feel like there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. There's like a mission that I have here. I feel like I'm destined for greater things than where I'm currently at. And I feel resistance. What do I do about that? And you say that you have to find what your purpose is and do your passion, and when you do that, you can then, have an abundant life, but I don't even know what that is. Well, these 3 steps I share with you today, and one of them is something I'm very much just recently got into, and I'm pretty fascinated by it. I'll explain it to you in a minute. The first thing you can do that I tell everyone that asks me, you've probably heard me say it before, I'm going to get this one out of the way before I move into the next one, is simply set intention. We're going to go over the purpose. Intention. Set intention. Set the intention to find out what it is. The way that our mind works is our mind and our higher self will show us a reflection of whatever we set the intention to find more information out about. Here's the thing too. We are all connected to what we call our higher self. We all have a higher self. Let's get a little esoteric here. You guys want to go down the rabbit hole? Let's get a little bit esoteric here. So we come into this reality, and when we do, we have that of this is going to get pretty esoteric here, but this is something you can read in the book, The Law of One. We have a 6th density higher self. 6th density higher self. And if this sounds a little bit outside your belief system, I totally understand that it sounds crazy, but just bear with me for a second. So we have a 6th density higher self. Right now we are in 3rd or 4th density. We are shifting between those. That's why we're here on the planet right now, is to go through this transformation of consciousness. And if you read the books, The Law of One, there's 5 books in it. You'll see it's very kind of heavy, advanced understandings of all this. But we have a 6th density higher self. And then what we do is we come into this reality and we forget who we are. We forget that we are eternal spiritual beings living temporary human experiences. And we incarnate into a reality, into 3rd or 4th density. And in 3rd or 4th density, we play the game of separation, and we use our body, which is our avatar in this lifetime. our body, the way that we interpret reality through the five senses, this is the way that we interpret our reality. However, when we come here, we forget that we are eternal spiritual beings. We forget we have this connection to our higher self, and therefore we live a reality sometimes where we find out a lot about who we are not. We may go through painful pasts. A lot of people that go through spiritual awakenings have had a painful childhood or gone through some type of pain in the past, and that pressure a lot of times will allow people to break out of it. Now, I'll tell you right now as well, I believe that most people's purpose in life, beyond just like, is it to have this kind of job or is it to do this? I believe that underneath that purpose, people have the intention of raising their vibration and going from third density to fourth density. It's going to this higher state of consciousness. Third density, 3D, is more of duality. It's more of separation. It's more of good, bad, light, dark, up, down. There's a certain level of control. 3D is also symbolic of the solar plexus. Now, when we go into the 4D, which is what we're moving into right now, 4D, we have that's connection into our heart. It's more connection into our connection to other people. Separation over here in duality, connection in 4D. And it's more about unity. So instead of duality, it's more about understanding that everything is connected and everything is whole. Now, this is what I believe we actually came for. So basically, that's what I think underneath your purposes of you doing a certain job or you owning your own business or whatever it is. I think it's going from 3 to 4D for everyone that is watching this video right now, especially because if you're watching this video, then I believe you came to be at the leading edge of this. As you go through it, it then influences people around you. And this is going to be happening more and more. Now, we forget this though. We forget that we came here to go through this from our sixth density higher self. And what happens is we have this sixth density higher self, which in a way, our sixth density higher self is us. But we come here to have a certain experience. Now, our higher self, let's view it as this. Like, there's this mountain. I got this analogy from Bashar, if you've ever heard this analogy before. We're in the valley, and our higher self's on the mountaintop. It's got a big old head, but it's not egotistical. So what our higher self does is our higher self is sending our lower self, our ego self, a signal. That signal is the vibration of passion. When we follow our passion, doesn't mean that we have to, like I had to know I was making videos, or if I never knew that, then I never found my passion. What are you passionate about in the moment? Follow your passion. What sounds exciting to you? And when you do that, you are then in alignment to going quicker up towards your higher self. That's the idea, the alignment of the frequency your higher self is sending you. Now, sometimes, some things going on intuition will look a little bit nonsensical. That's because your higher self can see the valley, can see sometimes rivers, trees, and it can see the way to go. And sometimes it'll seem nonsensical because it'll be like, what do you mean go this way? It looks like that's the long way. But your higher self can see that if you go the way you're going, you're going to hit a big river. There's no way to get across. So the key is to trust your higher self, to trust this frequency that's coming down to you. Now here's the thing as well, is your higher self can only help you when you are open to it. You have free will while you're here. So if you sever the connection by believing I am just the ego, then your ego only gets you so far and you'll feel a lot of pressure. However, if you are open to the guidance of your higher self, so I'd say everyone here right now, ask for guidance from your higher self. Ask for your higher self to show you what your purpose is. Ask for your higher self to show you what it could be, signs of what it is. And then what you'll find is just an everyday reality. You may go to the coffee shop with your boys or your girlfriends, and at the coffee shop you hear someone in front of you talk about something. And when they start talking about that, you're like, wait, I'm kind of interested in that. I'm going to go read more books on that. And you start reading a book and it leads you to somewhere else. You never know where it could lead you. But if you start opening the dialogue between you and your higher self, you'll find that your life begins to change in a powerful way. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something I've been into recently. And I know this is a permission slip, by the way. I know this is a belief system. Some people get, when I share this, some people, have different opinions about it. Numerology. I've been really into numerology reading. I have a numerology reading in like a week. However, numerology, I believe that from this level of when we incarnated, I believe there's certain templates that we may have set, certain symbols that we may have looked at in our collective reality that help us to understand our life. Now, these things do not have power over us. Numerology doesn't have power over us. However, numerology is a sign, I believe, or something we can look at. When I read my own numerology, it is dead on, spot on. From my life path number to my expression number to my destiny or my heart, my soul urge number, all of these things, the meaning of all of them, of your name, the idea is you chose your name when you came here, whether you realize it or not. You may have not chose your actual name, but you chose the vibration of your name, and your numbers add up to a certain number. It breaks down to a certain number, and that certain number has a certain vibration. That's then the way you show up in the world. And I do believe that we choose our name. Some people may not like their names. My mom hates her name. That's why she goes by a different name. But the vibration of her name has a lot to do with the trajectory of certain patterns that she may live within. And I know it's a belief system. I know it's a permission slip. However, it's one that I have been drawn to recently, and I think it's very powerful. I look at my own numerology. This house that I'm in right now, and I'll make a whole video about this soon. This house I'm in right now is an 8 house. An 8 house, if you look this up in your numerology of your address, it will break down to a certain number, and when it does, that number has a meaning. I've lived in, my last house was a 9 house. 9 house has to do with humanity and charity and putting out energy for the collective, which is very symbolic because I was making so many videos and I made a lot of content in there with that intention. Now, there's other houses that, numbers 1, 2, 3, all the way to 11 or whatever, and that have a certain meaning. 8 house is for abundance, growth, expansion, which is perfect for where I'm at right now in life. I was trying to decide between this and a 6 house. A 6 house is a house that is for families, settling down. And that's not my focus right now. So I chose this house, also with some other factors as well, but that was a main thing, because as I started to look more into my numerology, it resonated so much with me that I decided to apply it as a permission slip in other parts of my life. And who knows, maybe I just believe this is an abundant 8 house, and then that self-fulfilling prophecy creates more and more abundance and expansion in my life. I don't know, but it's a permission slip that I believe works. And I believe that most people can check their numerology and get really clear guidance as to what it could be. And that can start you on a positive path. There's this one thing that I've gone, it's a free numerology report that I've done, and it is super accurate. It's with somebody that is telling you, it's a voice thing, and explaining to you your life path numbers, what they mean, and gives you kind of like a forecast of your future in a way as far as the numerology goes. It's very interesting, and it's been very accurate. If you want to check, I get DMs about this every day because I've shared it on Instagram before. If you go to aarondowdy.com/numbers, Numbers, aarondowdy.com/numbers, you can get that free numerology reading. And it gives you a really cool free reading, but then there's also an option to upgrade, which is real cheap, but it gives you a 100-page report on you, and it's really cool. So you can check that out by going to aarondowdy.com/numbers if you're interested. Also, I'll link it below in the top of the description box. But let me know, if you want me to make more videos on numerology. I'm not a numerology expert. However, I am passionate about this right now. I have, for the last week, been studying it quite a bit. I told, Victor Odo and his wife Patty, and Patty has been super into it as well, looking at all of her kids' numerology. It's something to take in consideration. I do believe, it may be just a belief, but when you name your kids, now of course I believe that the idea is that the kids actually impress the idea of the name they want upon their parents' subconscious mind. However, when you name your kids, your kids will have that name, and that vibration will affect them their whole lives. So, not that it means you have to completely control it, because I believe that if you just allow, I don't know, it's a whole separate side conversation. I have a lot of numerology I can share that, but numerology, let me know if you want me to talk more about that, but it has to do with the numbers of your birthday added up, that's denominated down to a number, and then also it is the number of your name, the vowels in your name, those are the different numbers. But you can check that out. Like I said, you can go to that link to check out more about that. So numerology, I think, will give you a very clear sign as to what that could be. And then the third thing is step into unknown. How will this help you find your purpose? Well, when you radically step into the unknown, you do new things, you start to get new feedback. Start to get new feedback. Now, imagine that this is you. Can you see that? Yes. Imagine you do the same things every day, feel the same emotions every day, think the same thoughts every day. You're going to have your identity within this little box. Now, the thing is your identity within this box is doing the same things. It's very comfortable. When you step outside this box, you begin to tear down all of these things that are keeping you within the same thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You only have access to certain information based on the current identity you have. The thing I recommend you do is step into the unknown and start to try new things. I recommend you combine this with the intention. Set the intention to find your purpose and radically do new things. If you've never done yoga before, or you thought maybe you would like to do yoga, but you never saw yourself as that kind of person, try it. You'd be surprised. I've met a lot of people that start doing things that they never thought they'd be into, and it's something they're passionate about. Step into the unknown and break apart the belief structure of your identity. Recently, I've been doing little things like this. This is just good in general for your own personal growth too. I've been doing things like 2019, I used to say that I'm not really a dancer. But then what I did is every opportunity I had, not every opportunity, but like I went to that Tony Robbins conference, danced obviously for like 6 days straight, had opportunities to do it when I was in Costa Rica, did it. I'm doing it because now I don't label myself as someone that's afraid to do that. And I used to always say I don't have rhythm. Don't I have rhythm right now? Can you guys see? I can dance. I can dance the way I want. You see? And I step into that unknown or do things that my old identity wouldn't do, and then it breaks apart my self-image for who I am. But when you do this, you start to get new feedback. So I'd say find something, not that you're scared of, you could find something you're scared of doing, that will break apart your identity, but find something you might be passionate about and start doing it. And you might find that, you know what, I thought I'd be passionate about this, but I'm only passionate about this aspect of it. But now you have feedback to figure out what that is. Start doing new things. Break out of the identity. Break out of your shell. Dance like this. Okay, this is how I dance. This is how I dance. We had this thing at Tony Robbins where you had to dance, and you'd have a partner, and then they would have to mirror whatever you're doing. So we'd have to do these weird old dances. It was so much fun. It was cool. But it breaks apart your identity. It breaks apart caring what other people think.
If you do what you've always done, then you will get what you've always got. That means that whatever we are consistently doing and who we are consistently being is going to be the reflection in our life of what we have. And once I became aware of this, I realized that the version of me that was working a 9-to-5 job was different than the version of me that was making YouTube videos online. And I think the one thing that I could have told my older self is that the key to this whole process is to simply start. Start the process. Start taking action, or start being the ideal version of you. When I was back in 2017 working that 9-to-5 job, for months and months and months, I knew I wanted to be on YouTube, but I was worried about what people would think about me. I was focused on getting people's validation and wondering what my dad and my family members would think and friends would think about me making videos. And that held me back from actually stopping. The other thing was I actually got a camera that I could use, but then I didn't have the right editing software. I kept finding reasons as to why I should not start. And really what that was is it was a safety mechanism that was trying to keep me where I was. And once I became aware of that, I eventually made the choice that I'm simply going to start this process. And that's what changed everything. And when I look now and I think of my younger self, and I think of a lot of the people that follow the channel, I see that there's so many people with so many amazing gifts, but they're afraid to step into their power, or they're afraid to step into the unknown. And the key though is to simply start the process. By starting, the momentum and the energy begins to move, and what happens is then we start to get a new reflection in our life. Yes, resistance will still come up, but part of this process is allowing the resistance to come up to then move through it. It's almost like we must show the universe that we are going to meet it halfway, rather than trying to just have everything come towards us. And the one thing that really switches everything too is becoming aware of the story we are telling ourselves about where we are and why we must stay there. There's a subconscious story that we have around love. There's a subconscious story we have about money, about abundance, about our purpose, about our family. And this story locks us into a static reality that until we change that story, it will remain on autopilot. So in this video, I want to show you how to escape that story, how to change your life, how to really just start, and how to move forward in your life in a completely new way that completely changes your life forever. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I want to show you that just starting is the key to you really shifting your reality in a powerful way. And knowing that being a perfectionist and really setting really high standard is what's blocking you from just beginning the process. And just beginning the process is the key to meeting the universe halfway. And a lot of times what happens is we stop ourselves because we are afraid of the unknown. And now remember the quote at the beginning of the video, if you do what you've always got, you'll get the results. If you do what you've always done, you'll get the results you've always got. This means that there's an autopilot timeline reality that just feels familiar. It just feels comfortable. And if we want to actually create change, we must break out of this box. We must, in a way, do something that this old identity would have never done. And sometimes that means taking radical action. Sometimes that means showing up in a new way and having the courage to step into a new version of yourself. We're in the middle right now of a 21-day magnetic love challenge on YouTube. Not on YouTube, this 21-day magnetic love challenge where for 21 days in a row I'm going live, coaching people, and every day at the end of the video we get homework assignments to where we must go do something. And sometimes these are writing something down on a PDF or writing down, and letting go of something or whatever it is. But recently we did something called an identity stretch experience. So it's where we get our identity of who we are and we do something our identity would have never done. This meant for some people, it meant going into a hardware store and dancing to music. And the idea is that by doing this and not caring what other people think, it can have this profound experience on our identity, on the way that we view ourselves, that then begins to change how we show up in the world. Because maybe for a long time we've lived really caring what other people thought. And when all of a sudden we start dancing or we start doing something in public that makes us look a little bit crazy, we then realize, wait, most people are focused on themselves anyways. And not only that, I just don't care what people think as much as I thought. Now, there were people that did this. Some people's identity shift experience was them going to and calling one of their family members, was calling their mom or their dad and saying, hey, mom, dad, can you please just tell me that you're proud of me? And demanding for them to in a way, say something that maybe they've never said before. Or maybe it was them calling an old friend to talk to them about something that happened that they never really mentioned. For some people, it was a vulnerability challenge. Some people are stepping out of the box, but we had thousands of people in this challenge doing these identity shift experiences, and the results from it were profound. People started recognizing their life, where they're holding themselves back, but more so than that, people that used to consider themselves shy, people that used to, view themselves as having intimacy issues, all of a sudden having these vulnerable talks, it shifted the way that they view themselves, and that then changed their reality. I know when I started on YouTube, I really cared and was really worried about making videos where people could hear me because I was living at my dad's house. I was actually living at my dad's house in the backyard making videos. Neighbors could hear what I was talking about. I'm talking about the law of attraction and these esoteric concepts, and I really cared. And then when I said, you know what, I'm gonna break through this fear. So what I did is I got a little, like one of those selfie sticks. I put a phone on it, and I walked around in Las Vegas in Caesar's Forum shops and outside. I walked around filming a video. I did that because it broke me out of my fear of caring what people thought. All of a sudden, hundreds of people are walking down the street seeing me talk on camera. It was no big deal. I realized that I didn't have to care so much. Then I started walking through Caesar's Forum shops. The interesting thing about this is it was quiet. I'm walking through this hallway and it's much more quiet than outside. People can then hear what I'm saying. What happened was I felt so free. And even a part of this identity shift thing I'm talking about, I went out with friends, we did a scavenger hunt where we each had like these embarrassing things to do in public. We did these, and what happened is one of them is I had to convince 2 people in Natural Grocers in Sedona. I had to convince 2 people that I had a purple ferret that I lost and if they could help me find it. Did that, and it was liberating. Afterwards, I felt so alive. It was also, another one was I proposed to an artichoke in Whole Foods, gave it a long speech, and then asked the artichoke to marry me, and there was like a big crowd of people like, what the hell's going on? What I realized though is it doesn't really matter what people think. This made me realize, where in my life am I holding myself back and really caring what other people think? I did something my identity would have never done. And from that, it allowed me to show up in the world in a completely new place. What you'll find too is that the only fear that comes to doing something new is the thoughts about it. I was bringing people on, coaching people just 2 days ago when we were sharing the homework from the night before of this identity shift experience. It's the most intense thing to do in that 21-day challenge is like going out and doing something and posting about that, like doing something embarrassing and facing that fear. But people said, multiple people said that the fear wasn't the actual thing itself, it was leading up to it. And I used to do forensics debate in high school, and I remember that anytime I would go to these debate tournaments, the only nervous part was right before you walked into the classroom to debate. There was like in classrooms, there were judges and stuff, but it was at these schools or on stage or whatever it is. Same with public speaking. When I'm on stage or I'm doing something or I'm in a live event, I'm not nervous while I'm doing it, but leading up to it, I'll start thinking about it. It works the same way. But one of the biggest things that will shift your life is when you do something that your old identity wouldn't have done because it was fearful. Fear is a mechanism that keeps you safe where you are. And what happens is once we become aware of that, how can we do something new? Because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So in that 21-day magnetic love challenge, these people are doing these amazing things that are shifting the way they view themselves. And then what happens is they're starting to show up in their life in a completely new way. For some of them, because it's the magnetic love challenge, many of the people are single. So for one of them, initiating going up to someone and asking for their number. That begins to shift the way they see. They now see themselves as an initiator. Do you see? This changes the identity. When I started making daily videos on YouTube, it was because I knew that that would shift my identity. That would shift the way I saw myself. I went from like trying to manifest by thinking better thoughts and sitting on a couch. Nothing wrong with that, but for me, it just didn't work as well as me taking action and me being the version of me that I prefer to be. And here's the thing too, the guy that initiated, that used to say, I'm not an initiator. So my stretch experience, or whatever they call that, is to go out and to initiate. What happened is the first time he did it, he then took the identity with him. He is now an initiator. It's not like once he does it to 70 people, then he's the initiator. Once I started making videos on YouTube, I was a YouTuber. I am a YouTuber, I guess you could say. Now I'm actually shedding that identity. Shedding it because I see that it actually keeps me kind of stuck in my old reality. But the key to this is realizing that you can take on who you are being, decide this is who you are, that will change your life. Remember, we get in life a reflection of who we are being, not just what we think. Because if what we want and what we think is the focus, we're taking it away from our whole energetic expression. Who are we being? Our thoughts, our emotions, our actions are equal to the reality we're in. And sometimes the old identity that's on autopilot that feels safe, if you do something that version of you would have never done and you step into the unknown and you have courage, especially when it's tied to your passion, it changes everything. It takes courage to start. It takes courage to make videos and to not care what people think, or to at least push through that fear. It takes courage to go up and ask that person out. It takes courage for you to go after that dream job, whatever it is. It takes courage. But the moment you start stepping into the unknown like that is the moment that your reality begins to shift. You are meeting the universe halfway. So I would say that as well, when you have a divine intention with it, you want to maybe help other people, or it's something you're actually passionate about, it comes to fruition much easier because it's more inspired. Inspired means in spirit. So me making videos was very conducive because I was having the intention to add value and help people. And you could do the same thing by starting. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to, I didn't know editing when I started making YouTube videos. My first video ever says insert title here. You can go check it out on YouTube if you organize by date. That shows you don't need to have it perfect to start. But once you start, you start meeting the universe halfway. This video right here, this is one of the most powerful videos that I made, and I highly recommend that you watch it because it'll help you with what you learned in this video. To let in more money, there is some form of negative belief or story that you have about money that you have to let go of.